passengers anywhere, picks up the passengers anywhere without regard for other road users, If you do the same on Wayak, if you use Thika Road, it is the same case. On Saturday, I was driving to Kirinyaga and around Makuyu area. Somebody stopped right in the middle of the road to buy pineapples and caused unnecessary traffic. So I stopped and I asked the fella, why are you doing this? And of course, he was rude. Same day, or somewhere along the same road, a matatu guy was dropping passengers. And I asked him, why are you dropping a passenger here? Blocking the road, in the middle of the road. And he told me, I'm not dropping, I'm picking. So that is the impunity we are talking about. So Cabinet Secretary, welcome and help us fight this crime the same way you are fighting bandits. Employ the same energy, the same vigor, the same focus in ensuring that our roads are safe. I know you are well traveled. You go to countries like UK, London. The number of vehicles on their roads, many times, or a number of vehicles on our roads. But you find smooth use of their roads, something that you not see here. You have road signages like keep left unless overtaking. But you see a border guy on the left. It said keep left unless overtaking. But you see a border guy on the right. You see a truck driver on the right driving at 10 kilometers per hour. And you have 3 lanes. Nobody wants to give way. There is no courtesy in our roads. As we proceed with the meeting, I'm sure we will discuss more. So let me allow you to say a few things then we can proceed with the meeting. Welcome.
Honorable Chairperson of the committee, members of the committee, I want, Honorable Chair, to thank you and the committee for inviting us, myself and my colleagues from the Interior Ministry, to come and share with your committee our input into this important matter before you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for the courtesy you have extended to us. And in answer to the issues you have required me to answer, Honorable Chair and members, I would like to start from where you have stopped, which is that before us is a national catastrophe that we continue to ignore, take lightly, and we have collectively as a nation relegated the issue of road safety to the back burner. And this has brought huge negative consequences in terms of loss of life and general inconvenience, including a huge burden now we are bearing in the public health institutions as a result of families whose kin have been hospitalized, some for months, if not for years, because of this problem. Many families have sold land and vehicles and other assets to finance the public, to finance the medical bills of their kin. Many people in our country have been rendered disabled and unable to perform their roles. They have become permanently disabled physically. Many of our people have even lost their minds because of the trauma of road traffic accidents. Chair, this matter is so important, and I must thank you for bringing it to the attention of the nation, that right now, the number of people we continue to lose in our country every year is far much greater than people that we have been losing even in very serious disease outbreaks. Chair, there was the coronavirus pandemic, a global pandemic that really interfered with the world and caused so many deaths. That pandemic lasted 2 years and a few months. The total number of Kenyans who died in the entire period of the corona pandemic were 5,650 for 2.5 years. A global serious pandemic, devastating. 5,650. The people we lose every year in this country through road traffic accidents is on average 4,000 people a year. In 2022, we lost 4,650. In 2023, we lost 3,900 people on the roads. We have gotten used to these statistics as a country so much that we have, actually it appears like a normal routine statistical reporting. Some people who are not Kenyans from some countries, when they hear what happens in our country, they don't believe that you can lose 4,000 people in 1 year on the road. They think it's worse than a pandemic. And I say this because the road traffic accident in a year is less than 50 people. In some countries, they report 0 deaths on the road the whole year. You may want to check some of the countries like Iceland and other countries, 100% safe countries, very minimal. The Scandinavian countries, the same. Here in Kenya, we report thousands of deaths every year. Thousands are immobilized, disabled, and permanently injured. And therefore, Chair, I want to agree with you and your committee 100%. This is a national catastrophe. I also want to admit, collectively, as Kenyans, we have not treated this matter with the gravity it has deserved, both government and also members of the public. As governments, we ought to have done much better. And I want to promise we will do what this committee has advised us to do, which is to take this matter as a priority matter that affects the security and the safety of the people of Kenya, just like other issues. And I'm not trying to put blame anywhere. I think this is collective to all of us as a country, because if you compare the number of people we lose in banditry attacks in a year, it's much less than the 4,000 we are talking about here on the road. The worst security, the biggest security threat we face as a country is terrorism. In the last 12 years, The number of people we've lost through terror is a few hundreds total. 3, 4, maybe towards 500 if you even include even the Nairobi the bomb blast in Cooperative House in the 90s, late 90s. Total 500 people over 20 years. Roads, we are losing people on the roads, 4,000 every year. I don't think there is a greater national security priority. We cannot be burying Kenyans because of the impunity and inadequate attention on this matter. Honorable Chair and members, therefore, we will have to do things differently. And I want to call upon the people of Kenya, we have to change our culture, all of us. The kind of impunity, recklessness that you find on the roads is unbelievable. It is the objective, or rather it's one of the reasons why governments exist, is to protect the people of that country from risk and provide a safe homeland for everyone, deliberately and by force. That's why suicide is a crime. That's why suicide is a crime all over the world, because nobody's allowed, even if you are on a suicide mission, we'll have to prevent you from carrying out that suicide mission on the road. And in many cases, you are on a mission not just to kill yourself, but to kill other people. Same way other criminals do. So we must change our attitude towards the roads. And we must also enforce the law. I am afraid we haven't done enough. Chair, the traffic department of the National Police Service is empowered to enforce traffic law in Article 69 of the Traffic Act. Very strong powers given on the traffic department to control and regulate the flow of traffic, to prevent even the movement of traffic and even divert traffic on the roads, parking spaces, and other areas of a public nature. Very broad powers in article in section 69 of the Traffic Act. And then we have the National Police Service standing orders, which gives the traffic department, which is headed by Mary Omari, who is here with me. She's the traffic commandant, very senior officer, Assistant Inspector General Police, and of course reporting to the DIG, Douglas Kanja, who is also here with me, the man in charge of the Kenya Police Service. As you're aware, the National Police Service has two arms, which is the Kenya Police Service and the Administration Police Service. The DIG Kenya Police Service is directly the commander and the one in charge of the traffic department. So the powers are there. They are supposed to ensure free flow of traffic, prevent road accidents, investigate accidents, enforce the laws, and also involve themselves in road safety campaigns. Very broad powers. So I will not belabor the statistics, but in terms of the deaths we have from motorists, pedestrians, motorcycle riders, pillion passengers, devastating statistics there in my statement, which will be available to the committee. Honorable Chair, what are we doing? We have periodic operations on law enforcement by the traffic department to enforce the highway code. And these ones we've been doing every 2 weeks. but I must admit the measures in place are inadequate. I want to say that clearly for the avoidance of doubt. These occasional swoops and operations are not enough. We need to do more. We need to do more. We also work jointly with NTSA, which falls under the Ministry of Transport. And for me, I don't think there is any problem. The fact that the NTSA is located in the Transport Ministry and the Traffic Department is under Interior, because the two teams have worked very well, especially with regard to drunk driving, trying to control drunk driving and other road-related enforcement measures. There was that small disconnect in the past, and we are trying to see whether we can harmonize the working between NTSA and the traffic police to bring efficiency, because NTSA deals with generation of policy on road safety, but the enforcement mandate is with the Kenya Police, with the traffic department. And there is no contradiction between the two. One helps in generating policy and also supplementing road safety awareness campaigns, that is NTSA, but enforcement is the work of the police as provided for in the Constitution and the laws of our country. So we've been having those swoops. We've also been having some operations of drunk driving. We've arrested just 2 months of this year, January and February, 1,086 drivers arrested as a result of joint operations between the police and NTSA. And then motorcyclists, I think is a big problem. That sector must be brought to order by all means. You are the representatives of the people, Mr. Chairman and members. You must talk to the people you represent, who are border riders, to respect the law of our country. A victim mentality has been created around border riders. Every time we want to enforce the law, they will find a way of showing how they are being targeted, how they are being victimized, how they are being so forth and so on. This time round, we will not listen to any cry from anyone. When we do the things we want to start doing now, and we want to have a permanent enforcement campaign. We just called a meeting next week, which will be co-chaired by myself and the Minister for Roads and Transport. And everybody from police and NTSA will be present. And we have to agree on what we must do and save the country from this scourge. Nobody will be spared, including border riders. They must respect the law to save themselves from death, to save their passengers from death and prolonged hospitalization. I also want to say we have our own problems, even as law enforcers, and we are working on it. The DIG here and the team is working on eradicating corruption among police officers. We have a very patriotic cadre within the National Police Service, officers who work so hard. And I say this with a bit of authority because I have been out there, I've interacted with some of the officers who are serving this country in very difficult areas. Some of them exposed to huge risks. Some of them have died in the line of duty. Others have been permanently maimed in the line of duty. But unfortunately, Chair and members, we have another part of our officers are giving us a bad image because they are collecting bribes from motorists, both wealthy people and poor people. Somebody breaks the law, on the road, they give 1,000 shillings and the crime disappears. Some poor border fellow who is cannot afford more than 100 shillings or 50 shillings breaks the law. They give out the 50 shillings, the offense disappears. So we must eradicate corruption on the roads. The few officers who are collecting bribes on our highways are letting us down, and they are spoiling the image of the very patriotic and selfless officers who are serving this country in enforcing the law, facing criminals head on, and in the process, some of them have paid with their lives. Others have been maimed for life, left young families who, you know, we owe them a duty of gratitude and support. Chair, we have some illegal PSVs. There are people who run PSV businesses outside the law. There's a category of people doing PSV businesses, but they are not licensed and certified as such. Some are called Sientas. There's a Sienta group. There's another one called NOAA, a NOAA group. And these are some of the problem areas we will clean out. So all those fellows who are running those businesses must stop immediately. If they don't stop, we are going to get them out of the roads. That is part of the operational guidelines that we are going to provide when myself and my brother CSM, Kipchumba Murkomen, convene the meeting we are convening next week. Chair, speeding is the biggest problem. Most of the accidents are caused by human error. 86% of all accidents are caused by human error. And human error mainly comes as a result of either speeding, or maybe the driver is fatigued because of long distance and many hours of work. Now, speeding, which in this country we erroneously call overspeeding. There is no overspeeding. It is speeding. Okay? Speeding is the biggest problem. Please, even where it is indicated 110 kilometers per hour, 50 kilometers per hour, we zoom past those places at 120, at 130, including senior members of society in the three arms of government. The violation of traffic law has not spared anybody. It has not spared the pedestrian who are walking carelessly along the roads, and they know the road can be a cause of death. Many pedestrians have died along the roads, especially Western Kenya, very notorious, and Nyanza. We also have speeding VIPs from all the arms of government and both levels of government, national and county government. They must stop. You must drive at the agreed speed or we will stop you. And please don't call anybody to help you get out of it, because nobody will take your call. We set a bad example when we ourselves as leaders, parliamentary legal requirements on speeding. Long distance trucks again, big problem, fatigue, and a bit of intimidation of other motorists because they drive big, huge trucks. And some of those games on the road must come to an end. As Chair, you said, there are rules on which lane a huge vehicle should use. If it's a climbing lane, or maybe, if the speed of that vehicle is low. but you find everybody on the inner lane, just bringing confusion and causing some of these problems. Again, we need to work more there between traffic, Kena, and we have seconded officers to Kena and to the Northern Corridor Transit Authority. But again, there is a problem of corruption, 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 corruption. While some officers are doing a good job, others are busy picking money and exposing the public to risk. There has been a bit of awareness creating, but I think again we are not doing enough. Many of the people in this room, I think are all of us are old enough to remember the road safety campaigns that used to be run on radio, Usalama Barabarani. Every morning, there was someone from the traffic police to speak to the country. That time, radio was the main medium in Kiswahili, talking to drivers, pedestrians, and they were fairly effective because many of the pedestrians, especially in rural areas, don't understand the highway code. Somebody has come from the village to the nearest town to do something, but because this is now a highway with tarmac, they are not very conversant with some of those regulations. Again, the budget for public awareness has gone down. We are working hard. In fact, part of the meeting we are calling next week will be to reorganize even our budgetary priorities, even within the available framework, budgeting framework, to put in a little more money to our traffic enforcement agencies, including the traffic police and also the NTSA and the others. So there has been accidents caused also by engineering defects, and we are in constant communication with Kena and the other road agencies to make sure that those defects are corrected. And it works because like the area around Kinungi, there used to be very many accidents almost every week. But the moment we liaised, the police liaised with the Kena and the rubble strips and the bumps were put there. Initially, the bumps were a bit unfriendly and they even caused a few accidents. But now I think the place is okay. The bumps and the rubble strips around that area have saved that place from accidents. We have a few other places, including a place between Kitui and Machakos where there was an accident last month. We lost over 10 people. There is an engineering defect around that place which requires to be fixed. So we are working across the country to make sure where we see repeated accidents, including where this section between after Voi and Mariakani, the Taru, Samburu area, Maungu, we've lost so many people from Voi, between Voi and Mariakani mainly. And I think there is need for certain engineering considerations to be made, among other things, because of that. Going forward in terms of media or campaigns on road safety and awareness, we want to employ new media, the traditional media, but also new media. The social media has become a critical platform for dissemination of information. And we're going to look for a budget to make sure that we also run continuous road safety campaigns. So we have very good connections with the agencies in the Transport Ministry, NTSA, Kena, and the Northern Corridor Transit Authority. We have a very good working relationship as traffic police department with the government vehicle check unit. There is a lot of misuse of government vehicles to do all manner of things, and we are going to have a major crackdown also to make sure that we bring order in that space. I'm just trying to wind up, Chair. Other than that, we are also looking between us and NTSA at investing in technology, speed cameras, and a bit of speed cameras and other technological solutions to our speeding, remove the physical fining state procedures and have instant fines where you deal with a driver instantly. But more importantly, we are going to make it extremely painful to speed. It will be very costly, very, very costly. This idea of charging 10,000, a fine of 10,000 because you're speeding, we must stop, because someone who is speeding is on the road to death, but in the process is on the road to carrying a few other people to the grave. So we'll make it very painful. Instant fines, but very painful fines. Yes, you sell your shamba for speeding, or sell everything else you have. We are also going for forfeitures. We're going to ask for auxiliary orders. The same way we are going to have vehicles transporting drugs and psychotropic substances forfeited. We will start having serious and serial law-breaking motorists have to forfeit some of their assets to the state. We sell those assets and establish a fund to assist families who have been devastated by road traffic accidents. So, enforcement of the current law would go a long way in bringing these numbers. I am looking forward in the long term when we can speak of hundreds, not thousands, of lives lost, but we can even aim very high and become very ambitious and clean Kenya from this needless and untimely deaths of our people and the devastation of the health and well-being of our people. So, number two, even with the available budget, because every time the government, agency, all of us, including parliament, whenever we are confronted with an issue, the easiest way to explain yourself is that the budget is not enough. Can achieve a lot even with the budget we have. Because if we can clamp down on corruption and make it purely a law enforcement thing and take out of the road and road the vehicles, have our drivers retested, and I've seen drivers are resisting and giving us all manner of stories. Oh, I have driven for 30 years. Why am I being retested? Retesting is the best practice around the world. All professions are reevaluated from time to time. Why not the drivers? The things you learned in driving school, you need to refresh yourselves. You need to understand modern safety measures because that sector is also evolving. There is no sector that is stuck in time. The things you read in driving school, those early days in 1980, and then you don't want to be. We'll retest all those public service vehicle drivers and so forth and so on. And we'll also have to rethink limiting the age limit for driving. Yes, there are people who should not drive because of age or health reasons. Right now, it's so long as you can, get hold of the steering, you get your license and go. Health, age. In some countries, the driving license is not be renewed beyond 70 years. You have to be a passenger for the rest of your life. Because the response, driving is a it's a psychomotor scale. So the speed of response depends on many things, including health and age and other things. So without much ado, Chair, those are the things we are doing. We will, of course, need a bit of budget, but for us, budget is the last resort. We will even reallocate what we have and give more priority to road safety and the prevention of accidents. But we also bring hygiene to ourselves, and we stop selling the souls of the people of Kenya for money. So much blood has been shed on our roads by this road traffic accident monster. So, Chair, that's all what I want to say. I'm open to the engagement. And in case I find anything technical, if you allow me, I'll ask my colleagues who came with me, DIG here or any other person can also chip in, because we came to engage and nobody has the monopoly.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary, for that detailed. I have almost a full house here. Almost all members of parliament are here. Like you said about drivers being retested, these ladies and gentlemen are retested every 5 years. So they are good to go. So let me start with the Honorable Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I have a few concerns here that I want to bring them to the attention of the CS. We will all agree that road traffic accidents are caused either by human error, the mechanical healthability of the vehicle, and factors that are beyond human control. I have a belief that your traffic department, you need to review the Traffic Act. As it is now, the role of a traffic police officer is to investigate and find out who is on the wrong so that they can be taken to court. There is no area that requires of this officer to carry out what we call a root cause analysis. What was the cause of this accident? Is it we have an unmarked bump? Do we have a pothole? Do we have, was the driver impaired by maybe was on medication? Was the driver tested? Maybe he's epileptic, those kind of things. So we must review and make it mandatory for the police officer that when you go to investigate an RTA, you are investigating to take someone to court, but most importantly, you must come up with a document that anyone reading it will know that this accident was caused because of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that document, we must also make it mandatory that he will come up with an implementation matrix. If it is Kenha to erect a speed bump, it must be done within a specific time, and that document must be mandatory. We put it by law, but as it is now, even if you tell Kenha that you need to put a bump here, they can take a year or 3 years. The second thing which is very important, Honorable CS, is that the outcomes of those investigations must form the basis of review for the driving school syllabus. As we talk today now, the syllabus that the driving schools are using to train our drivers was, I don't know if it was reviewed, and if it was reviewed on what basis. It is the cause of these accidents that the driving school should use to review them. The third thing is that I am an engineer. I review my license every year, and Engineer Chege will tell you that I cannot renew my practicing license until I have done some proficiency exams that will earn me points to make the IEK or ERB to renew my license. We need to have the same electronically that public PSV vehicles, even all drivers in Kenya, that for driving license to be renewed, you must some certain approved training, either online or physically. investigation, whatever we are talking about here. And it should be linked. Once you go to renew your license, it's declined because you have not undergone the relevant proficiency training. The last thing is that I have had CS Murkomen talk about that the government can come up with a new entity that will be mandated in investigating accidents. If you ask me, we are within financial difficult times as a country. If you ask me, I would suggest that you delink the Traffic Police Department from DIG, National Police Service, let it be standalone, just like the DCI, let them report to IG, and then you give them proper training. And because as it is now, I'm not talking about Kanja, but I'm talking about his office. If I can walk to his office and I have a brother who is working elsewhere and I say, please, Mr. Kanja, please take this, my brother, to traffic police, being motivated by stopping a few cars and make some money, then we will make the traffic police a place where people could be coming and going depending on who has seconded them here. You make a mistake, you are removed there, and we professionalize it. We give them capacity to investigate accidents, not to duplicate. And then we have a very clear role between the police service, between the traffic police, and then the NTSA on who should do what. And after, and maybe you can form a multi-sectoral team, which maybe quarterly they can sit down and review those accident reports and find out who has not done what, who should do what in that kind of a setup. Otherwise, I thank you, Honorable CS. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Honorable Hussain, you've just walked in, so I will give you a few minutes to settle down. But please, members, limit yourself to one maximum, to 2 questions maximum, and don't be over detailed. Just go straight to your question.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable CS. Border riders, you have said we have to bring them under control. But CS, in our country, you will see a border rider carrying 5 people, and he will pass a police officer and not be stopped. And the matatu which is behind him, which is probably even carrying 1 or 2 people, is stopped. We have just let it be. A border rider will carry, I've seen them carry cows on Darakanidi, you know, the bridge, going up. They're carrying a cow, they're carrying a sofa set. Somebody's sitting on a sofa, carrying bags of potatoes, and there's somebody sitting on that bag of potato up there. If he breaks, I don't know what happened. Last week, there was a border carrying 3 cans of milk, and there was a car coming out. He nearly banged into the milk poured. So borders are being used as pickup trucks. You will see a border pulling bars on the road. They're damaging the road. You know, those iron bars and everything. And you will see all sorts of things. So we need to, I mean, I've got nothing against them, but we need to do that. CS zebra crossings, pedestrians, and particularly the traffic police manning the roundabouts in Nairobi. They make you stand on a crossing on the highway. It's like a parking lot for 10 minutes. Why did we do away with the parking, with the traffic lights working? All other countries, traffic lights work, and they work well. You will see a pedestrian crossing a road while talking on the phone, which is not allowed in England or any other country. By the way, I've got a license for UK, and when I get 70, I will not be allowed. I'll have to go for a retest, not that I will not drive. Yes, you can drive after 70, but you will have... The last one, CS, is investigating the traffic department. But a job of a traffic officer, many are my friends, even the IG once caught one. I tried to get him released. A traffic officer was a good friend of mine. But it's an ATM. And it's known by everybody. It's not that it's not known. Even, I don't know, even if you're going to put NTSA is the same thing. they've been doing the same thing. Before they were removed, there were ATMs. The government check units are the same thing, because we know we've got our CDF vehicles, which are GKs, and you cannot be let go if you do not give something. So the traffic department, I don't know how you're going to overhaul it, but it's an ATM, ready ATM, because wherever you see our traffic, you said there would be no roadblocks. But the roadblocks are still there, CS. I don't know why they're there, because they were supposed to be under the OCPD. And the OCPD was the one who was supposed to authorize them to be there. But nowadays, I don't know if OCPDs have got control over it or not, but those, I want to leave it there.
Okay, Honorable Arama.
Thank you, Chair.
2 minutes.
I think mine, Chair, Bwana CS, I think I would also want to know the pecking order of traffic, the chain of command. The reason being that when we have a base commander, from the base commander we go to the regional traffic commander, then from there to Nairobi. I really think that if we could devolve so that we have a chain of command such that we have a base commander who I think is an inspector or chief inspector for that matter. Then we should have a sub-county traffic commander. Then we have a county traffic commander, which are not there now. In the last parliament, we suggested that we have OCSS who would be doing traffic. The best commanders would be inspectors who are answerable to the OCSS. But it became a problem because of this corruption you have talked about here. I think if we can have a third chain of command where we have at the sub-county, then we have the region, then region to the county, to the commandant in Nairobi, it might make some change and some sanity. Then, and I think then if the Mary Omari, she's the enforcement, she's the commandant overall, then I think we should have someone who is at that level, but who is also at the same level at the regional police commanders. Reason being that there's a time you could find that the regional commanders could do transfers. They can maybe suggest that transfer this, if for example, a traffic officer goes to the road, is unable maybe to bring enough money, and because the regional commander is there, Mary cannot have any command over the regional police post because it's slightly senior, and we know how people follow command. I think it's better if we can have the office of the traffic commandant to be on the same level with the regional commanders, so that we don't get interference from the regional commanders, even in terms of enforcement. Then I think, of course, my colleague has suggested that we have a parallel command that the commandant can be answerable to the DIG. I think because of sanity, I really suggest that it's okay. We can have the commandant who is answerable to the DIG because of order, but then we need to have that order that we have sub-county police officers are continuous. Then yeah, 1 minute, yeah. There is an issue of shortage of vehicles in the traffic department. I think in order for us to do proper enforcement, we must have many vehicles which will be used by the traffic officers so that they can discharge their duties properly, because you find that if an accident has occurred somewhere, or people, it becomes a problem for traffic officers to move from one station to another. You find that they even want to use the vehicles for the OCSS. I think that would be my suggestion. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Body, make it 1 minute.
Okay, sawa. Mheshimiwa Waziri, mimi naitwa Mheshimiwa Badi kutoka Mombasa, nafikiri unajua. Na umesema kulikuwa na kipindi inaitwa usalama barabarani ambacho kilikuwa kifanya kazi hiyo. Alafu ukasema wataka sisi wanasiasa tuwe na sensitization program kule chini. Alafu umesema kwenye mambo haya yote wataka kuwa na budget. Nataka nikuulize, hizi program tulizozipanga, lakini how best are we going to share that budget together? Mimi nipange programu yangu, nikija ofisini kwako unipe pesa na mimi niende nayo huko chini ili niweze kufanya sensitization. Kwa hivyo kitu ambacho nahitaji kwako Mheshimiwa Waziri, tukubaliane pesa, nije nichukue pesa mkafanya sensitization program. Asante.
Thank you. I think Waziri, you can address those questions. Zahir, I know
just 1 minute.
A quick one.
Yeah.
Okay, one more.
Okay.
One last.
Waziri, in light of the recent accidents, what steps is the ministry taking to ensure better enforcement of traffic laws and regulations? And Waziri, I support what my chair said earlier, that you are doing a good job, but I'm of a different opinion that Waziri, you are actually doing someone else's job. I'm talking about the Inspector General of Police, because we rarely see him fighting criminals, bandits. We don't see him there. He's always in the office. So I don't know what he's doing in the office. Second and last question to the traffic commandant.
Be relevant.
Okay.
Zahir, to the agenda of the meeting.
Madam Traffic Commandant, what have you done? What are you doing? And what will you do to stop this traffic madness?
Honorable CS, you can address those questions first. Then you wish to finish? Okay. All right.
Or maybe I just dispose them in a, so that I don't lose anything.
Yes.
I'll be very brief. Then the
I thought
others,
so, yes.
so
I
that
thought so.
everybody has, you know,
Correct.
all the time. I'll be extremely brief.
Yes.
Chair, thank you. And I forgot to declare interest when we were starting. Only 2 members here declared interest. The Honorable Rahim Voimenti North said he's my neighbor. It is true. The Honorable Kajwang said he's my professional colleague. It is true. And I want to confirm I have a PC, but I cannot go to court because of 77(2), because now, unlike you, I am now a full-time state officer. You are part-time. That's what the court said. But the interest I wanted to declare, Chair, is that every member here is my friend. It's good I say that. Either neighbor, a friend, colleague, and I saw some of them didn't declare. I don't know why they are disowning me. Chair, including the chair. Chair, very briefly. The very profound remarks by the Honorable Didmas Baraza, I agree with almost all of them. We have to review the syllabus again, modernize it and enforce, be very strict on who, even the kind of instructors we have in those. Some of the fellows get licenses after being shown one or two exercises of driving, and then they are deemed to have passed their whatever exams. Number 2, the proposed new unit for accident investigation is an international best practice requirement. We may not avoid it, but I don't want to preempt it because I know Cabinet has already passed. But the legislation will have to come to Parliament, and you're free as parliamentarians to make your input. But that will help cure some of the issues that has been raised by other members, because there will be a unit where everybody involved, because road safety is a multi-agency kind of thing, will second. In fact, it's secondment. It's not even creating something new. The traffic police will be seconded in that unit, but the other professionals, the road engineers, the people who help us do the report you are saying, which is scientific and can help us establish what caused this accident and so forth, and also help in prosecuting, assigning responsibility, and prosecuting successfully. Under International Civil Aviation Authority organization regulations for air traffic accidents, but also for other serious ground traffic, it's required by international best practice as a law enforcement measure, so that the traffic police officer becomes part of an organization where through secondment, all the expertise is pulled up together, but that bill will come to Parliament. Then the issue of having timelines for action to agencies to correct or take corrective measures will take on board that recommendation. And the renewal of driving licenses should be made subject to some form of appraisal and so forth and so on. It's not just the engineers, the Honorable Baraza. Many professionals, the lawyers, TJ Kajwang will tell you every year to renew that certificate, you must show you have taken some continuous legal education seminars and updated your knowledge. Otherwise, you will not get automatically for the new year. For the lawyers, it's yearly. So other professions, every 5 or 3 years. So I don't see why drivers want to drive for life without reminding themselves anything. And I saw the Matatu people and the other driving fraternity trying to organize themselves around that issue. And I want to clearly say they are wasting their time. We will implement the continued education program in the driving profession by all means possible. We will implement it with or without resistance. It's a national security matter. We cannot keep on having statistics of thousands of deaths every year. And every time we want to bring order and sanity to ourselves, some fellow will organize themselves there and start bringing rationale that you're interfering with businesses and that kind of thing. So they should stop it because it will not help them. The worst they will do is to take us to court, and we are used to those court things. We will proceed. We will proceed. Chair and members, that discussion you're saying, the DIG is here, and our sister, the commandant, and the other officers are here. If they wish to comment, they can comment. If it can help us have efficiency, greater efficiency, delinking it slightly, if that can help, I think it's something that we can have our own internal discussions and recommend. And also, you're also free as legislators to help us think through that in the manner like elevating traffic matters, like the way the DCI, because of the unique role, has been given a bit of semi-autonomy to be able to deliver for the country. Then quickly, the issue of borders carrying sacks of charcoal, pigs, camels, and all manner of things. That is nonsensical. There is no explanation for that behavior. It's criminal behavior. And poverty cannot be used to justify crime. It's actually impunity. So it's just enforcement. And again, every time we've tried to bring order in that sector, the victim mentality, you know, you're hurting us, we are at the bottom of the pyramid, you should concentrate on motor vehicle, that argument will not fly anymore. We will not listen. Yeah. That transportation even of live animals is against the Cruelty to Animals Act. Yeah, it's cruel to carry a cow on a border. So we will just have to, once we do our internal meeting, the operational order will give give us some of these things as deliverables. Then public awareness, the need for us to enhance public safety campaigns. Corruption is a big cancer. This country, if we don't arrest corruption, Kenya will come to a halt. We will destroy Kenya because of corruption. Within the police, within politicians, corruption in the hospital, corruption on the road, corruption at home, corruption everywhere. We will destroy Kenya. As security people, we have started thinking strategically about Kenya's sustainability, long-term sustainability. This corruption thing is no longer a social, moral, legal, or constitutional issue. It's a national security matter. So we are trying to profile national security threats, and gradually corruption is becoming a priority issue. We have to escalate it. We have a constitutional framework under Chapter 6, which we watered down as a country because of the same culture of, politicizing even very serious things. And if we don't act on corruption, we'll destroy our country. We'll not have a country 200, 300 years from now, unless we stop this corruption thing. Part of our problem is constitutional. We are a democracy, but we must be able to shade our democratic credentials and ideals with the need to sustain the nation. And therefore, some of the measures we need to take around corruption will tend towards harshness and towards being hard on ourselves. And I don't want to say that we should undermine our democratic values, but anything that hurts the nation cannot be let to pass simply because we are a democratic country. The countries that have done well to fight corruption, unfortunately, they are autocratic and less democratic, a bit difficult. And I have not named any country, so I'm very careful. I've not named every country, but so we have to decide that balance, what we need to do. Then Roadblocks, we have an ongoing discussion, and I know I was quoted with some dates, and actually after here at 1 o'clock, I'm appearing before the Regional Integration Committee to answer that question on roadblocks. But the decision I announced on behalf of government was roadblocks for purposes of trade facilitation in the Northern Corridor. The Mombasa-Malaba Highway as one of the requirements of the East African integration demands. And also subsequently, there was a presidential directive that we must replace roadblocks on the Northern Corridor with other ways of surveillance so that we don't inhibit trade within the East African community. I'll be answering that question later on. But generally also, even outside trade-related matters, roadblocks are not, the way we are doing them are not a modern way of securitizing the highways. And therefore, we are having a discussion on how we can, again, clean that space, because putting spikes in the middle of a highway looks even untidy. It's a bit untidy, it looks a bit, yeah. And that's how we've done it all over the years. So we are looking at how even those checkpoints can be a bit more presentable. Number two, we also only retain the checkpoints that are critical for our national security. And members, you may want to know, some of the roadblocks and checkpoints, especially along certain highways, have really helped us save this country from serious threats around terror, drugs, and organized crime. The interceptions that have come because of some of the highway, major highway, the Archers Post checkpoint there, the one in just north of Malindi for the highway, Sabaki. There's Sabaki, then Kanyonyo, this one from Mwingi Garissa. And some of those security checkpoints, there are no bribe issues there. And there's something we have done there, which we want to the fight against terror. And they are doing a beautiful sacrificial jobs. And sometimes we never appreciate them. So please, roadblock issue, I agree. We need to clean it up, both for trade purposes, but also for security on our roads. Finally, the member for Kitutu Chache, I think, Kitutu, Nyaribari Chache, Zahir Janda, who never also discloses my friend. What are the steps? What are the steps? If I have not answered, I'll come back to it. But I think the honorable member for Kitutu Chache, Nyaribari Chache, I don't know why I'm in Kitutu, said, what are we taking, what measures are we taking in light of the recent accidents? I've already said we are convening next week the two ministries or the agencies, and we are going to have a nationwide enforcement measure countrywide, like the one we have now on drugs and alcohol, and it's going to be perpetual, not periodic, for good, as long as the problem exists. Because this is a big problem. It's every time we have an operation for 2 weeks or 1 month, or 3 months, we clean up and then we relapse back to normal factory settings after that. So it's going to be perpetual. It's a serious threat. Just the way we are perpetually on the war on terrorism and banditry. We have now included drugs, and it is alcohol. We are going to include even road carnage. And we will be there as long as Kenya exists, or as long as the problem exists, whichever is earlier. And did I leave out anything? Please assist. Did I leave? Can we share the budget? There's no problem. That is the list of my problems. Because we need, when we do these multi-agency consultations on road safety, because Chair, on a serious note, I know Mheshimiwa Badi gave it a light touch. Road safety campaign must be a multi-agency and multi-player program. It cannot be left to us as traffic people, police people, or NTSA. We need political leaders, opinion leaders. So we need to invest, just like peace building. We need to build a culture of respecting roads, and the work of elected leaders is going to be very key. So once we organize that program and pitch for its funding, it will factor in the multiple players that are required to make sure that we win the public psyche and change the habits that we have around roads. There was also a question about shortage of vehicles. Honorable Arama, over the last 17 months I've been in this space, I have come to be increasingly persuaded that before we talk about additional support, either of equipment or of financial nature to do programs, using even what we have, we can achieve a lot. So I would rather to categorize the issue of empowering. I know it's there in my statement. We need to facilitate Mary Omari and the team and the traffic people a little bit. I agree. We need also to bring technology in the road safety and etc and enforcement space. But before we even reach there, if we enforce the current laws with whatever we have at the moment, and that's where we should start on Monday, as we look for cars. Because if we start with cars, by the time we get the budget approved and whatever, more people have died. How much money is required by Mary Omari, my colleague here, and the team to stop some of our colleagues from taking 200 shillings from drivers? How much money is required? No money. Zero. How many cars are required? None. So let's first use what we have, then we do those things. The command, I think I'll leave that to DIG or traffic commander to comment. You can either
Pass the mic to the working mic. I think that has a problem. Proceed, DIG.
Honorable Chair, honorable members of this committee, CS, Interior and the Coordination of National Government, colleagues, let me take this opportunity and say a big thank you for especially inviting us to join our CS so that you can also be able to state clearly on these matters. The CS has a wrote on what's happening in on our highways. But maybe before I go to the command and control, let me mention that we have also done a few things. Remember the other day, we had, everybody had sirens and strobe lights. And everybody had to disturb everybody on these highways. We even saw some driving on the wrong lanes, claiming that they are urgently required to the offices or maybe to do some other businesses. That has been stopped. We have taken a few to courts. Something else that we have been doing gradually is also marking of the black spots. There are those areas that really accidents had been happening. And we have also been on them, and really through other collaborators, we have actually been making progress in ensuring that we slow down matters accidents. In my office, I've also established a sting team, because it is true, we have some very good police officers, but at the same time, we have others who are very corrupt, a few corrupt officers. They are on our roads there. And these are the people that we need to get them out. Like yesterday. So we have sting operations. We have gotten a number of them. We have sent them home, parking, so that we can be able to ensure that traffic department is cleanest. Honorable Chair and members, you are aware that sometimes back, the police on traffic was changed, whereby it was decided that the regional police commanders, formerly the PPOs, they become in charge of traffic in the areas the county police commanders become in charge of terms of controlling, ensuring that the traffic department works well. We did fight that. That was not working. Department. So once again, the officers, we have also created the position of the county traffic enforcement so that it can be able to work together with the base commanders and the actually introduced a lot of accountability. Accountability because level is accountable to a different, to its own commander. And that commander is also answerable to some. The complaints on the roads are actually on decline. We have got a lot to do because get the bad officers out of the roads and they introduce officers who are ready to serve the Kenyans. So that is something that is already ongoing, and the commandant has been given that mandate to ensure that he can be able to account for all his officers, whatever they are doing on daily basis from morning to evening and even from evening to the next morning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Rama, just hold on. Hold on, Honorable Rama.
Your time wait. Thank you, Chair. Waziri and the team, I first and foremost congratulate what you do. I know you do a lot, and things have changed in this country. We need to, appreciate where the job is done. Yourself and DIG Kanja, I know what you do. I'm in security. I'm the only person who sits in security. A lot has changed in this country. We have to appreciate. Where we have some small gaps, we will mention. I believe 3 things causes accident in this country. Number 1 is drug influences. Drivers who are drug addicted and they drive. Even if you drive yourself, you are knocked by a drunkard driver, especially I know in most of the highways and even in Garissa highway, you see people who are addicted and they drive. So what the question I was asking is, why have we stopped the alcohol laws that used to help in identifying who is, who has drug influence and those who are okay? Number 2, the other thing I believe that causes accidents is lack of proper training. Drivers who are not experts, drivers who are not competent to drive. I also believe that because of lack of expertise, lack of competence, drivers also causes accidents in this country. That one, a very important one.
We'll come back to you.
Yeah, I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I believe although we have officers who always take bribes, I believe the larger percentage of the Kenyan police are doing their job. We have individuals always, and in every society, I'm sure you have those kind of people in amidst the society. But we have individuals, and I believe we will take action against them. But I think the best thing we need to do is to bring back the alcohol laws, follow it up, and put our officers on the on the roads so that we see those people who are drug addicted and drug influenced, and I'm sure we will reduce the issue of accidents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go to Honorable Sunny. I'll finish with the professional colleague who will be the last. Honorable Sunny. Go direct to the question.
Thank you, Chair. I also wish to take at least a second to congratulate the CS for work well done. On to the issues at hand. From where I come from, Wana CS, the problem in Archer's Post is what happens in my constituency on the Ethiopian border, which is majorly a security come traffic thing. That's where all motorcycles emanate from, carrying human beings, Ethiopians, human trafficking, carrying illicit guns for Rift Valley and other uses, carrying drugs from Ethiopia, Shishamane. All these come through Wajir North. And hardly do you have traffic police officers first in Wajir North. You may have one officer in Wajir North headquarters, but I have 3 sub-counties, a very big constituency. There are no traffic officers. So we are discussing traffic issues in an area where the officer officers are not there. That's a concern. And you can't imagine, Bwana CS, how many bills we are paying. In as much as they're doing good things to our economy, these are the culprits. This is a security threat to this state. Even on our roads, if you see how they drive, from all ends of your motor vehicle, they can drive. My vehicle right now on the left side, mirror is damaged. A motorcycle hit and went away. And a police officer was just 20 meters away. He couldn't control. I don't blame them. There are many, and they can run helter-skelter, amok. So people always blame traffic police and corruption. Corruption is not something specific to the Kenya traffic. It's a societal issue, it's a behavioral issue. Kenyan society is becoming corrupt at all levels, and we need to fight its prevalence, CS. That's why I'm saying what is in Archer's Post is in my constituency majorly. I have built 6 police stations and I have been pleading for gazettement. 6 police stations out of my constituency fund budget so that we can increase police coverage, block these routes, so that Archer's Post barrier can get relief from the top. So my concern is, how do you really manage motorcycles? It is the big frontier of traffic problem going forward. Licensing them, capacity building them is just too big and enormous. It will overwhelm the ministry. I know you are dealing very well with other security aspects, Prof. Very well. That I don't have to hide. But one thing that will bring us down is the motorcycle sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sunny. Honorable Kerabo, Engineer.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, let me declare that the CS is a very good friend of mine. And I knew I was going to get an opportunity to say that. Bwana CS, I agree with what you said earlier. I can feel you, because what you are discussing is a very serious issue. In fact, at a personal level, this matter of safety made me even come up with a bill. I'm happy to hear the executive is also doing something, because I believe as a nation, we need to address this issue of safety. afresh. It is a very serious issue, and I think is one that we need to relook and to see how best we need to structure ourselves in dealing with this problem. Now, to give you an example of how we have failed the society, and said us, all of us. If you look at the section of the road from ABC, James, something that in fact, all of me as an engineer, I'm embarrassed that we can construct 40 kilometers or so of a road to be completed. So I think as a people, even the way we are doing construction, the way we are doing our things, we must put safety issues ahead of everything else. Now, I want to just seek some information. Many countries out there, you hear of them recalling in this country. They could also be related to the vehicles. So in the reports that we receive here, how I wish there would be breakdowns of saying, out of the vehicles that have been killing passengers, like buses, these are the types. Isuzu of the year, these with this breaking, whatever the age, so that we may also find out whether this is also a dumping ground for, 40 vehicles, because Africa can be. When you resort, you are saying that most of the accidents, in fact, are in this area compared to others in the world. And we know that not everybody is straight out there. So that is another thing that I would like us to know, and whether we are prepared in a way that actually we can inspect even the new ones. And also when we find a problem, that we can actually use our own system to get to the manufacturer who actually sold those things to us, and sometimes make sure that they pay for the faults of those vehicles if we establish they are responsible. The other thing we have been discussing about is corruption. Many countries in the world, they give their police cameras, or what they call body cams or body cameras, when they are engaging with the public. Is it possible that we try this with the traffic people, personnel, so that we see whether it can help? Because there's a lot of talk of people taking bribes, others not taking, but if there was something like that one, maybe we can see how they engage, just to make sure that we reduce that problem. The other last one, Chair, is these cameras that we have put on the road, have they helped us at all in terms of getting people who are over speeding, or have we been able to take some of these scripts and taken them to court and we use that as evidence, or we have challenges in collecting that data? Thank you, Chair.
Very good, Honorable Kiaraho.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think let me start by declaring my interest by saying, Waziri, we've come a long way, though nowadays you are very scarce, but I understand. Thank you. I think to me, it actually occurs to me that we are dealing with the Waziri we are dealing with, and I think that is very encouraging. But Naziri, if we look at some of the major, and just to touch very briefly, especially on the issue of speeding and the drunk driving, I think we can borrow a leaf from some of these, like in the Western countries. Traffic offenses are taken very seriously because, for instance, if you are caught driving when you are drunk, your license is withdrawn. Like in the US, if your license is withdrawn, and in the US you have to have a vehicle to survive, to commute between your home and place of work. So people know if your driving license goes, you're actually disabled. So I think we can borrow a leave by putting I think we have to bite the bullet. We have to come up with very strict measures. And I think you measure yourself to that issue. Now, of most importance, they struggle, get a border, and without any even training, you find that character is on the road. And I'm telling you, this is one issue we need to address very strictly, because to me, I was even thinking, Bonaziri, you may even actually start thinking of whether you are going to come up with a proper task force, which will be strictly just be given that task to look into this sector. Because if unchecked, I think we are headed. Just the other day, some few months ago, we lost a former member of this committee. And how that member of parliament lost his life, it is so unfortunate because he was walking on the pedestrian walkway in South B. Then a border from nowhere, from behind, carrying some water tanks. Because it was during the jam, he actually moved from the main carriageway, came to the pedestrian walkway, and what happened? The water tanks he was carrying hit him from behind. Because for you, if you're walking within the pedestrian walkway, you know you're heading this direction, you don't expect any vehicle or border to be using that particular lane. And that's how that gentleman lost his life. And I think you all agree with me, we have those so many of those kind of examples. So what am I saying? I think it's high time, because as a government, we have a responsibility to protect people's lives, especially lives which have been lost through road carnages. And I think it is high time we depoliticize this border sector, because basically what happens, like today morning, if you come, you do some soup, you start hearing, oh, border people are being harassed and all that. But I think if these people are put on notice and those rules are put that we have to adhere, because I really don't see anything wrong with actually enforcing the law. We'll not be going out of our way. No one should say tomorrow that you are being victimized. So long as you follow the law, no one will harass you. But of course, if you are going against the law, then you actually face the music. And I think if people are sensitized and put on notice, you give them enough time so that people know from June, the government have declared, like using pedestrian walkways, whether vehicles or borders. And today, you all agree with me, if you are driving in Nairobi, actually one is always scared because the border, you find a border coming from nowhere, you hit him, it's an issue. And this is a problem which is with us. And I think it's important we have a broad-based approach to it to see how we can arrest it. I think that is just my view. And I believe your good office is up to the task, but you have a hard time in front of you. But I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Keramo. Honorable DJ, take maximum 3 minutes.
Yes, Honorable CS, coming last after my colleagues is a hard task because you can see the level of interest in this matter. We are just about 15 of us in this committee, and you can see that we are full house, and every single one of us has said something. You then can see that there's a lot of interest in this matter. And so coming last, perhaps I should give a vote of thanks. Let me also say one or two things which could be emphasis on what my probably would have some weight. When I was here to do something new, commanders behind you, I mean, under you, follow the chain of commands. Be remembered for something. and think out of the box so that professor is known that he passed even if he is remembered to be about a border, nothing, For example, we are in a new world, creative world, digital world. On the other side, all mentioned about this driver's license and create a system backed with IT so that when you have a driving license, you load with this, you start loading it with 100% points. And every time you do something on the road, it is knocked down like they do elsewhere. Backed by ICT, backed by digitization properly. It will help this those on-spot fines and on-spot reactions of the officers. It could even make things easy. You just be in some control area and you just see that traffic person who is going there and doing something, and instantly you know that that person has done this or done that. It can really reduce the police officers you see on the road. They go back in the back house and do digital work more than just raising hands and getting a lady, her hands are tired and just raising a hand. Let us be in a new world, digitized and backed by ICT. That is the first thing I think. And of course, it is going to tie to the cameras you have. It is going to tie on the signages you have. It is going to tie on the GPSs that you have. And it will enhance your security, your ability to react to security responses, even outside traffic, because all these things are happening around the roads and so on. So that is what I want to remark, number one. Number two, there is one issue that is troubling me that I want to clear my head on. Just a few days, there was the Kapsabet boys. I thought that was unfortunate. And I would want the commander of traffic to give us a written brief of what the police found out to have been the cause of that accident in Baringo. It is Kapsabet boys